Hi, welcome to another episode of the ARC podcast with Jen and Lindsay. Jen, how are you today?
I'm great, Lindsay. I'm excited to have a great guest on today.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, so at the podcast, we're trying to bring on all kinds of different leaders in our community who are doing some really just important work. And so I have Jocelyn, or I'm going to mess this up again, Jocelyn Okora Dudu from our tribe here in Cincinnati on the podcast today. So, welcome, Jocelyn. Please introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Okra-Dudu. I am the executive director and co-founder of Our Tribe. And I think what's really important to know about my story is that I was compelled to create or to organize Our Tribe alongside my co-founder, Latanya Chichester, because we are both parents to children with autism. And so it was really important to us after kind of navigating this space for several years, her a bit longer than I. It was important for us to create a community and a space where the needs of the Black autism community were highlighted and addressed. And so that's how we got started. And I think it's really an interesting story how me and Latanya even know each other at all. So me and Latanya met when I was in college. We were both health unit coordinators at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. She's like a couple years older than me. I was like a wayward college student, not really taking the job that seriously. But what I didn't know at the time is that she was kind of navigating her child's autism diagnosis throughout that time that we were together. And then when I learned of my child's autism diagnosis, I could think understandably, anybody who has gone through that diagnosis period, it's even though you kind of know it's coming, it's still quite a blow when you actually get the results. And so I was just desperately trying to figure out, like, oh my God, what do I do now? I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone who looks like me and who is navigating this experience, who has a child with autism, who has autism themselves. And so I was on a whole bunch of Facebook groups at the time, that like autism Facebook groups, Black Autism Facebook group, and I made this like desperate post like, I need help. I'm scared. I'm confused. I'm devastated. I'm devastated right now. And she answered the post, and she invited me for a coffee, and we met at a little Panera Bread over in Finneytown. And I'm not going to say that everything was like cupcakes and roses after that, because it certainly was not. But at least I had someone who had been through it and who was telling me like, you are going to survive, like your baby is going to be okay, because that was something that I really wasn't sure of at that time. I wasn't sure. So I had someone telling me that it's going to be okay. And a couple of other things happened. Um, so when I was able to actually get the funding for Our Tribe through United's Way Black Empowerment Works program, me and her have been connected throughout the years. Every once in a while, like, we want to do something, but also it costs money. And so when the funding came available, she was just like a natural person to reach out to and try to make this happen. And we've been very surprised over the last several years of us getting funded that it's just taken off exactly what we needed, other people in our community needed as well, and they've been really tapped in since 2021 to Our Tribe.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to you a little bit before the podcast, and I was like, "We need to start." You were like, "Maybe we should start the podcast because
Yeah.
Mhm.
exactly what we need to talk about." I was on the board of the Autism Society when my son was little, and it was such a need to we would have these little play groups, and there would be like one Black family that would come to the play group, and it was like all of these kids would play, and I would talk to all the families. But I just felt like, and we would always talk in our strategy meetings, that we need to try to give a support group to Black families and to try to connect more Black families. And we were just like white ladies trying to do this. And when I saw you're all like this nonprofit, I was like, this is exactly what I wish we'd had when
Yeah.
my kids were little, and you guys are doing it, and doing it in such a great way because of the funding that you're getting and the way that I mean, it's just everything. You have a great caregiver support group that meets,
Mhm.
and movie day, so it's like things for the kids. So it's like everything's coming together.
Yeah, so I think that what was really important to us, so we have a couple of different pillars, and I think that what is also really important to mention is that it's not just me and Latanya. We have a community advisory board as well that really is driving the work of our tribe, making sure that we're not just using our own experiences to create programming and events for our tribe, but we're also touching other families so that we can make sure that as many people are finding what they need in our tribe as possible. And so I need to shout them out because people see how much our tribe is doing, and it's really because there's like a force of other Black mothers who are not playing about their babies and who want them to have this support as well. And so that is really why we have been propelled and had such success. So I need to shout out, of course, Latanya, my co-founder, but also Ebony Young, who is a mother, Gwen Pearson. I need to shout out Marquita Pizarro, who's on our board, and also Andrea Burks. And I feel like I'm missing. We finally got us a man. We finally got us a dad. So Anthony Huey, who's just joined the board as well. All of us really working together to inform the work of our tribe. And I don't know what the question was, but I just need to know that I needed to make sure I shout out my girls. So I did that.
You did, and it's because it's just so clear that you're so engaged,
Mhm.
and it's such like an engaging group, um, that the work is going to come so much more naturally when there's so
Yeah.
many people like working toward it. So the services that you provide, you said you have a support group. I know you're
Yes,
having a
so
movie
that's what the
day.
point was. Yes,
Yeah.
so we have several pillars that we're lifting within our tribe, and it came from the community advisory board. So all of us deciding together what is it that we really want to focus on, and at the center, which is what you all see the most, is our focus on community building because we feel like all of us have stories of isolation. All of us have stories where we were the only Black family, and we feel like it's very important for, at the very least, people not feel so isolated, people not feel like they need to be shut up in their homes, and that there is no one else who understands this life journey that they're going through. And so we have the caregiver support group. Last year, we were working on a model where the caregiver support group was monthly. This year, we're doing like a more concentrated caregiver support group. So in April, we're going to have a 4-week series because we really wanted to we didn't think that people were able to build the connection that we wanted them to just seeing each other once a month. And so we're going to try this 4-week series where you're seeing these same group of people for 4 weeks at a time. What we're hoping is that friendships get built. We're hoping
Mhm.
that phone numbers get exchanged, some play dates happen, some coffee dates happen. And so we're trying to see that. We also have just community events. So a monthly this year, we have some different way that our tribe is going to be tapped into the community offering something. So we have our movie days, we have our tribe annual family reunion that we have in the summer. We have our holiday events. We have these biking events. So if you go to ourtribecincy.com, you'll see, and if you also go on our Facebook and our Instagram, you'll see all the time, all the things that we have coming down the pipe. And so, and then in addition to our community engagement, our community building, we also have a focus on research. So we feel what research tells us is that unfortunately our community is facing the poorest outcomes of an autism diagnosis. And so in addition to addressing the isolation that our community feels, we want to address those poor outcomes. Like we want our babies to reach their maximum potential as well. And we really feel that in order for that to happen, there needs to be a concerted effort for us to find out exactly what is going on within the Black autism community, exactly what our experience is, exactly where are the pain points so those needs can be addressed. And so we've been fortunate to be partnered with Children's Hospital in order to engage in some research. And that research actually uplifted our autism doula program that we are lifting right now. And so our autism doula is for families who have a recent diagnosis. already shared with you all. And I think that if you're a special needs parent, you already identify with the devastation that comes along with the
Mhm.
diagnosis. And I know that I felt like I needed more. Like I had that big, thick packet, which I still have never read in totality because it was so much.
Same. Yep.
Yes, and so you need instead, and then I got when I got the diagnosis, I had a direction to go download the 100-day toolkit from I think it was Autism Speaks. I've never done that. I needed like a 100-day person. I needed someone to talk to me and tell me who was going to be okay, and to like show me how to navigate as they had. And so that is what the Autism Doula program is going to do: provide these families with someone who looks like them, who has experience with their life journey, not only within the autism space, but also as a Black person here in America, and also to kind of help them navigate this family shift because it is a huge transition when you learn your child has a special need. And then the last pillar that we focus on is at our tribe is really advocating for system change. A lot of the poor outcomes that we see within our community, it's systemic. It's because there's policies put in place, there's systems put in place that don't benefit us, that actually put us at a disadvantage. And so if we want to see the changes that we need to see for our children, we really need to see some shift happening. And yeah, that's what's going on in our tribe.
Awesome.
It's
The
amazing.
that doula program that you have just sounds like you were saying, we're all like on this journey, and I was the same. Like I downloaded that toolkit. I had, even when Jack was diagnosed and they gave me my packet, I didn't even get through that packet,
It
which
was
was like
too much.
individualized. Yeah, because it was too much. Like it was like, you're in grief, you're so confused, you don't know what your future looks like. And all I wanted and what I got um was kind of similar to you because I had like just someone I worked with
Hmm.
that I knew their child had autism, and I like started just there. But it wasn't the same because like that person had like a different job than me. Their life just was like a little different than mine. So it was like this journey of just trying to find like a family. And for me, I have two kids with developmental disabilities. So it really helped me when I finally met my first family with two kids
Mm.
with
Yeah.
disabilities because I felt like everybody else had like just this one kid, or like they just had one child and they could
Hmm.
like devote all their resources to this one child, or they had like one child and then like they had like other siblings who were just like, I was so jealous because they could help with like the developmental milestones, like, oh
Hmm.
well, yeah, 2 years old my kid was doing this, and like I had no idea what anyone
Right.
what those milestones look like. So it's just representation of like what your life can be by seeing someone else's is just so important.
Absolutely. It's so, so important because they're providing you like with a vision that you can't necessarily access. Like you're so into day to day, your day to day is a mess. And you're
Yes.
like, I need to be able to see a vision like they're surviving, they're okay. There's smiles happening over there, there's laughs happening over there at a time where I don't have any smiles right now. I don't have any laughs.
It
And
almost it gives
mhm,
you, like, permission to,
mhm,
like,
Mhm.
accept it and, like, actually do your life, like, mostly how you were gonna do it as you were before, but, like, adding on this challenge and, like, kinda shifting a little bit, but still, like, what I want families to do is, like, just do what you were gonna do, when you had this vision, but then just kinda shift it and, like, build the community you need.
and it's possible, and it's
Yeah.
possible, and yeah, it's possible, and I think that having the community of people who have done it lets you know that it's possible.
Yes.
Mhm.
Especially, like, for women, like, a lot of us and I mean, we have to most of the time. I mean, Lindsay and I can tell you, I had to leave my job. A lot of people with this diagnosis had to leave their job, but what I tell a lot of women who are, like, on that, I'm like, "Try your best not to leave your life, like, your job. If you love your
Mhm.
job, I don't want you leaving your job." So, like, try to build that community and find your tribe because it's
Yeah.
really, really important. What do you think it is about the Black experience that makes your organization necessary? Like, I it's clearly about if, nothing without us. I always mess this up. Nothing about us without us is an autism um uh phrase that's often used, but I think it's really important just too for like that for all like identities to kind of have that. Like it what is it about the Black experience, like, particularly that makes it your organization necessary?
I think that it's just like we know the history of being Black here in this country, and we know what that means, and we have navigated that space. And I think that it's very important for us to have a space where we don't have to explain to each other. Like we don't have to like kind of set the stage or set the tone. The tone is set because you've been living this same exact life that I've been living as well. So like some of the research that comes up when we're talking with our families, what something that comes up a lot is our family's fear about our children's interaction with the police. We don't have to discuss with each other why that might be a particular concern. We know exactly why because we've been living here Black in America for a very long time. And then I think it's just like a in a support group, like when you're a marginalized group, there's an understanding and there's a just a common frame, there's a common language, there's a common culture. And I think that our tribe providing that space where there are a group of people who both understand that common culture, that common language, that common phrasing of being a Black person, and also understand this journey, this autism journey, is very important to our communities. And I think that that's why we see such engagement in our events. So when we put out events, they're always sold out. We're always fully attended because people are really longing for that space where they can navigate both of these marginalized identities as a part of the disability community, as a part of the Black community, and just kind of fit in. So everybody needs a place where they fit in. And here for at our tribe, the Black autism community, we fit. We understand each other, and we're giving each other what we need.
Do you think, like, one of the stats that you have on your website, which I've heard before, is that um, children are diagnosed, Black children are diagnosed older. Like my son was diagnosed, like we were sent over to Help Me Grow by my pediatrician when he was 15 months. So Jack was diagnosed at 18 months, which is pretty really early. Usually kids with autism diagnosed between like 2 or 3. What's different about
Yeah,
your
it's very
experience? Your
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, this is something that's present in me and Kai's journey as well, and something that I still kind of get upset about because Kai wasn't diagnosed until he was 5 years old. And but for years and years and years, I have been asking everyone, I'm like, is this right? Is this right? Kai was my first kid. I had him when I was 26. I didn't know, but I felt like something wasn't right. And I asked all the questions that I was supposed to the people who were supposed to have some type of answers for me. And I again and again got the response, oh, he's fine, he'll grow into it. And I really, and at that time, that was exactly what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that things were okay. I wanted to hear that there wasn't something else going on. But in retrospect, when research tells us that the earlier the diagnosis, the earlier the onset of therapies, the better the outcomes are. Many of our children are being handicapped right from the beginning because they're not being diagnosed. And I wonder how much who I was as a person, as a Black woman, and us knowing that women are not listened to within the healthcare system, and Black women doubly so. Like how much that had to play in my concerns not being taken seriously, and my son being diagnosed so much later than he had to. And those stories are rampant throughout our community. I meet many more women whose stories sound like mine than I do whose stories sound like yours, whereas their child was diagnosed early. That's very rare within the Black community.
Yeah.
My son was diagnosed at 4. So
Mm,
we got the runaround of I'm a first time mom.
mm-hmm,
He was a preemie. You clearly don't understand. He's hitting
mm-hmm,
specific milestones. You shouldn't worry. And finally at 4 was
mm-hmm.
when they were like, hey, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, it's hard. I remember walking into we went to an autism preschool
mm-hmm,
and, everybody said, my daughter was diagnosed at 18 months, my son was diagnosed at 16 months, and I said, "Whitman was diagnosed 6 months ago at 4," and one mom looked at me and said, "Well, I'm glad I'm not the one who was behind," and walked into the classroom, and that, like,
oh,
hit my heart so hard because I was like, "You have no idea what, like, I went through." It wasn't like I was this unknown mom, I'm a nurse, like,
Mhm.
I knew the signs, I was pointing the signs, nobody listened. Everybody was like,
Yeah.
"He's fine, he's a white preemie, don't
Mhm.
worry about it." Because
Yeah.
in the hospital with his breathing issues, they call it, white man syndrome. It's
Hmm.
just that he's lazy, is what they kept telling us.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
he'll eventually get there, but yeah,
Mhm.
he had but yeah, from that, like, side of it, we were late as well, and it's hard. Like, I
It's very
totally feel for you
frustrating.
on that.
It's very, very frustrating because what I remember about that journey is I was doing everything that I could think of to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, I went to like ABS, all these places that you can't even access unless you have an autism diagnosis.
Mhm.
You can't access the funding to support it. And so he was barred he was barred from accessing all these therapies because he didn't have the diagnosis that he should have had. I think in retrospect, I don't know. Like in retrospect, I'm like, why I could tell. Like in retrospect, when I see other people, kids in our community, and of course I don't sometimes say it because it's all hard, but I can
Right.
tell. And I'm like, how come me just being up here and I can tell, but there's like physicians and there's therapists and they can't like ring the alarm and try to get this baby help as soon as possible. And it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're right, like focusing on like I'm so glad you guys are doing the research with children
Yeah.
Hmm.
and focusing on the systems because it's like if you don't have it's the school bit, that's
Hmm.
the medical, like the healthcare system, and then you have like the board of DD, and help me grow in that whole system. If everyone's not getting educated and like working together to make sure that we're finding and diagnosing as many kids as early as possible, there's just so many system breakdowns in between there because it's so there's waiting lists. I mean, children's won't even see or diagnose a child with autism after 6 years old right now. Like they don't have a system to do it.
Which is a lot, and it makes me think about like the policy. So if we know that there's this backlog, people are waiting 6 months, waiting a year to get diagnosis. In my case, several years. Why do they need this diagnosis to access these therapies? Like, why
Right.
can't we just be on the safer side? And if there is a suspicion, give them the therapy as soon as possible. I know that ABA is very controversial within our community. But I loved ABA for my son, and I'm
Mhm.
very disappointed and upset that he didn't have access to it until he was 7, when he could have had access to it when he was 3. When I was looking for it the first time and didn't have funding for it. So if we know that these type of breakdowns are happening, I feel like there needs to be more leeway for these programs and these evidence-based therapies to be accessed by these kids that don't yet have not
Mhm.
diagnoses, but there's a concern.
Well, I'm just excited that you all are here in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
Our tribe, it's our tribe Cincy, right? The
Mhm.
website.
Yes.
Tell me about social media. So is it our tribe Cincy?
Yes, it's our tribe Cincy on Facebook and Instagram. Yes, and then we have two Facebook groups. One is our business page. It's dry. Don't go there. We do have a group that is populated for like our community where anyone can post. And that is the juicy one. That is the one where we post our events. And that is the one where you see a lot of parents asking questions of each other, inviting folks out together. So take a look at that page, the group.
Awesome. And then that Black Caregiver Support Group, Tuesdays, March 12th through April 2nd at 6 p.m.
Yes, so
Um,
that is being facilitated by Lilac and Indigo. Gwen Pearson, her daughter, facilitates these groups, and it is just such a special experience. So if you are a caregiver who is looking for some support, a Black caregiver who is looking for some support, and to pair and meet with other women and fathers like you, please, we're recruiting for that group right now.
and then your movie day is Saturday, March 9th at noon.
Yeah, so we are also recruiting for that event now as well. I think we're going to see Kung Fu Panda 4. We did a movie day last year. It was very well attended. The kids got to do them. We had our own movie theater so the kids could be themselves and the parents could relax and let their kids be themselves and enjoy that movie. And so we're going to be doing that again next month.
Awesome. Well, your website is phenomenal. There's so much great research on it already and like just I mean,
Mhm.
it's very rare that I say I love a website because I'm and so if you know if you know me, I just like going somewhere where like there's really great blog posts on there. Like I was crying sitting there reading some of those blog posts.
Kara
I,
wrote one of those. So the
Aw.
one with her, who, talked about Max, her brother.
yes, her brother.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes, and so she's going to be the facilitator, and her post made me cry as well because I think that is I'm the parent of 3 children, and I hope that the siblings for Kai,
yeah.
I just
Mhm.
think about him that in that way.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was she wrote to him and she thanked
Yes,
him and she apologized to him
it
and
was.
she
mm,
was
I
proud.
love
I mean,
Kara.
it just was like hit me. I had like all the hairs on my body were standing up and I was crying at the end like it's just important those stories like and for you all to get together and like share your journeys and tell these stories and it's great. I'm just excited about it. So, thank you Jocelyn for joining
Yes,
us on the
thank you so
podcast.
much for this.
No problem.
We're excited about it, and we will post all of your the website and all of the info on the podcast link.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jocelyn.